All right, perfect. So recording has started. All right, so let's start with our lecture. Please, again, any question, anything you need to ask about, please don't hesitate to ask. You can interrupt me anytime. So as we said, we discussed a few things in the last lecture about the arrays, but I feel that if we repeat it, it will be a good idea. So I'll start repeating the arrays and pointers. By the way, this part was taken from the previous lecture because the slides now we have 75 slides, and I know you feel uncomfortable when you see presentation with large number of slides. So I'll try to divide them into multiple lectures. So we'll start with arrays and pointers, and of course we said the main idea of having the arrays is to let me just create a copy of this so we can write whatever we want. So I'll just create a copy. Okay, we don't want to change the style or the slides. Okay, so array and pointers. We'll start with arrays, then we will jump to pointers. So in arrays, as we said, array is consecutive group of memory location, same name and type. I told you in the previous lecture, and now I'm telling you that when you define an array, you will define consecutive. It means one after the other, or reserve memory locations for the array. For example, if I define a of 3 as integer, okay, you can define it like this. That means I will select, or the program will give me one location to start with and put a of 0 in that location. Okay, so if I continue and write, this is 2, 4, and 6. Okay, that means this is a of 0. All right, this a of 1, and this one is a of 2. Sorry. So it will take a of 0, or first it will reserve memory locations for the array. So it will take this one for a of 0, a of 1, and a of 2. Now, it will put the value of the array here, 2, 4, and 6. Actually, the size of the locations depends on the type. For example, in this case, I define the array as integer. That means every location is 2 bytes. Okay, so it takes like this. It will start from the memory location, the compiler or the program will assign to, and continue to the next location and next location. If I have a of or if I define a of 4, then it will reserve the next one also and put some data in that place. All right, so this is the meaning of consecutive group of memory locations, same name and type, same name and types. Every location has the name A, but the difference is in the index. We call this as index. And type, of course, if reserve integer memory location, that means this integer, and this also an integer. To refer to an element, specify array name and position number. And here, I'll define it here like A of 3 equals 2, 4, and 6. Okay, the name of the array is this one. This is the location, and we call it index. Not this the index. This is the index. Okay, but there's there's a very important thing that you need to remember. that counting starts from 0, the location or the index. So although these are 3 elements, the location starts from 0. So when I ask you, what is the second element? You don't write A of 2. A of 2 is not correct. The second means this is the first and this is the second. So it is A of 1. Okay? The third, although this is the first, okay? This is the second. And this is the third, and so on. But actually, the first is of index 0. The second is of index 1. The third is of index 2, and so on if I have more things. So I want you to understand this and to focus, because this is one of the tricks that can be used in the questions and in quizzes and exams. All right. So to refer to an element, specify array name and position number. So if I want to go to 6 now, I will write A of what? Of 2. Okay, why? Because 0, 1, 2. All right. Format, array name, position number. First element at position 0. For example, this is an example, an element in array. If I have an element, okay, if I have 5 elements, that means the maximum index will be what? 4. Why? Because 5 element, the first element start at 0, the second element start at 1, the third element start at 2, fourth element start at 3, fifth element start at 4. Actually, you don't need to do all this. You just specify, or you can find it by maximum index is equal to number of elements minus 1. Okay? In the same way, of course, if I give you a question, if the last element is of index 4 or 5, how many number of elements we have? That means 5 plus 1. Why? Because I start from 0 and ends with 5. That means 5 plus 1. Although it's very, very simple idea and very easy to understand, but I want you to remember it always. Okay? All right, so here we have, if I have n elements, then C of 0, C of 1, C of n minus 1 is maximum. Array elements are like normal variable. We can treat them like normal variables. I can write, for example, x, if I define integer, or without definition, x equal a of 0 times 2 plus 3, do whatever, plus a of 1. For example, this is just an example, it doesn't mean anything. All right. So you can use them as any other variable. You can change their values. You can assign values. You can write, for example, a of 2 is equal to 5. Then C out a of 2. After that, you can write a of 2 plus plus. And we discussed this, I think, the increment. All right. You can use them as regular or as any other element. All right. So performing operations, this is also can be done. All right. Example using array. First, no, very important to initialize the array. Of course, it's not mandatory to add this part. Just like when you define a variable, you write integer x, or sometimes in some applications we wrote integer x equal 5. Okay, this is initialization. It's not mandatory, but sometimes if you know the values, it's quite easy and better to initialize it at the beginning. So here, to initialize the array, I will write it like this. If I give you a question, just let me add some blank slides. All right. If I give you a question like define an array that includes the values 1, 4, 7. Okay, that means I'm asking you to define an array that includes the value 1, 4, 7. I didn't specify the type, so that means you have the right to decide what type you will use. But here, if you noticed, all of them are integers. So I can define it like integer. Okay. Give it any name, A of how many variables, how many elements we have? 1, 2, 3. Equals. You can open parentheses, oh sorry, braces. They write 1, comma, 4, comma, 7. So this is the, of course, semicolon at the end. This is the definition of the array, or the declaration of the array. All right. You can do it in another way, like integer a of 3. That's it. Then you can write here a of 0 equals 1, a of 1 equals 4, and a of 2 equals 7. Both are correct, but of course this one is very much easier than the other one, so you can define it like this. Okay, I think it's clear. So here, if you can see, it's declared an array of type integer with 5 elements, and the first the first element is 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, this index is 0. This index is 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. If not enough initialization, argument element become 0. Sorry, rightmost. This is also an important point. Now, if you declare this, if I define an array integer a of 4, okay, equals 1 and 2, and that's it. I close. Now I have here I have 4 elements, right? But actually I added 2 elements only. What will happen to the rest? Now that means a of 0 equals 1, a of 1 equals 2. How about a of 2 and a of 3? Because I have 4 elements. This will be zeros automatically, rightmost. The rest will be compensate or assigned to 0 automatically. All right. If size omitted in the initialization. Also, this is an important point. If you didn't know the numbers, but you know the contents, then the program itself will give the size of the array. For example, if I say integer a and then empty bracket, blank bracket equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Then automatically the program will count these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and put 4 here. You don't need to put the value here. All right. OK. So these are the most important thing at the beginning of the array. Of course, we will move later to 2-dimensional array. We are talking now about 1-dimensional array. Before discussing passing arrays to function, Let us go and answer some questions. Write a program that does the following. Define an array that consists of 6 integers. So I need to define an array with 6 integers. That means integer, I'll call it A, of 6. Either to initialize it or not, but here I prefer to initialize it. And I will use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for easier explanation. You can put any numbers. Okay, print the first element of the array. Who can tell me what will be the first element? See out what? What's the first element here in the array? I'm waiting for your answers.
1.
1? Yes, how to what to add here? See out what? Anybody can tell me? See out A of what? 1?
0.
2.
0.
I cannot hear you. Can you speak louder, please?
0.
0. All right, perfect. Thank you very much. So the first element is C out A of 0. Print the fourth element. Fourth element 1. This is index 0, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. So the fourth element is C out A of 3. Usually -1. Okay. Print the last element of the array. Of course, last element is A of 5. Am I right? Print the entire array using for loop. Here, the for loop can be used. Let's answer this question or solve this question, write this program. So don't be afraid, there's something else. All right, so we'll define integer A of 6. We said 6, right? The question is asking for 6 elements. All right, equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. Of course, now, since I already defined this, I can remove this part also. But for double check, it's better to keep it. Now, it's required first to print the first element of the array. So, first element of the array out the first element is A of 0, as you said. All right. The fourth element, I'll copy it better. Is A of 3. Last element A of 5. Correct? Okay. Let's execute this and then we'll get back to the other one. So run. Yeah, this is what you got. The first element is 1, the fourth element is 4, and the last element is. Now, sometimes you need to you don't need to specify the index, a specific index. You need to go through all the elements. This is the meaning of the second question or the last one. Print the entire array using loop. Now, If I'm using loop now, if I have a of 6, as we said, equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we say this is a of 0, this is a of 1, a of 2, and so on. So that means I can create a loop for I equals 0, right? I less than 6 or less than 6 here, all right? Or less than or equal 5, and I plus plus. So to deal with all the elements in the loop, you need to do this. What I'll do now here, see out. Okay, remember that I want to print it like a of 1 equals 1 here. So what are the strings that we don't need? This part and this part, and the variables are here. Correct? This part also. So see out, I'll put quotation a of, then I'll close the quotation. Here I, again, close the parenthesis, the brackets, and equals a of I, and of course E and D L. All right, that will print a of 0 equals 1, a of yes, here not 1, a of 0, a of 1 equals 2, and so on. All right, so here a of 0. So let's do it now. For, this is the third one, for integer I equals 0, I less than 6 or less than or equals 5, I plus plus. All right, then I'll close this. I'll start here. See out. Again, I'll write the name of the array, then this bracket, close it, then the value of I, then I'll close the right. I need some space. Then A of I and A and G L. Okay. Let's see how they will be printed. Error. Yes, I have. I committed a mistake because here I opened this bracket or braces and didn't close it. So here I close it. Okay. Remember to close every open block. So this is what I got in the answers. The first element is 1, and see here the printing is a of 0 equal 1, a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, etc. So this is the other requirements. I will just copy this and share it with you as the answer. Okay, so the answer will be here. All right, so this is the answer of all the questions that or all the requirements in this example. All right, let's see. Yeah, we already have it, so you can have them both, no worries. Okay. Example, write a program that defines an array with 6 elements and find the sum of the elements. Also, we solved this one. If you remember, when we discussed this, we say first I'll define this. I'll call it AR equal. Now, inside, of course, here, if you remember, I told you With every 4, you have to start and close the brackets. But here I have only one instruction, so I can remove these parentheses. All right. So in this case, I'll create a counter. All right, which is I starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and every time it adds a of 0. So we'll start like this. The value of I, sum a of I. All right. So if I is 0, here if you can see that I defined sum before the loop, and it has to be here, and its value has to be initialized to be 0. So I 0, sum 0, a of 0 here is equal to 1. Now the first iteration, after we finish the iteration, now sum will be sum plus, if you can see, plus equal, that means sum equals sum plus AR. So sum will be here, the new value is 1. Okay? In the first iteration, 1, the sum A of 1 is equal to 2, and it will be added to sum, that means it will be 3. In the second iteration, okay, A here is 3, then 3 plus 3 equals 6. Third iteration, the value here is 4. 4 plus 6 equals 10. All right, in the iteration 4, then the value is 5. 5 plus 10 equals 15. In the iteration 5, the value is 6. 6 plus 15 equals 21. So if you can, if you saw that, if you noticed that, the counter will pass or will go through all the indices, and every time it adds the element to the array, to the sum. Okay, so this has been answered last lecture. We don't need to repeat it again. It's clear. Now write a program that defines an array of 6 elements and prints print them in reverse order. This we didn't answer it, so I'll explain to you. Okay, so it's required from you to write a program that contains 6 elements, like as we said, A of 6 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Okay. The indices are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the indexes or indices. Okay. Now I want the program to print them in reverse order. So anybody can tell me how to do this? In reverse order, remember that I have counter. Of course, I can define a counter that's for I equals 5, right? I start from 5, then 4. So I greater than or equal 0, and I minus minus. You remember this from C++, from PSPL, Programming a Selected Language. You can do it like this. C out A of I. This will work perfectly, by the way. Let's try it. Yeah. So we don't need all these things. We'll start from here. So the first answer is, by the way, the beauty of the programming is that you can, or you may have different way to answer the same question. So don't worry, just think about an approach. So I equals 5. I greater than, don't forget, greater than or equal 0. I minus minus, right? Then print them in reverse order. Let's execute this. So this is what we got. A of 5 equals 6, A of 4, A of 3, A of 2, A of 1. That means I print them in reverse order. Okay? Is it clear? Okay, so I'll share the code with you. There's another way. Let's discuss it and make sure it works properly. So this is the first answer. This is the second answer. Another answer is to do it or to consider if I use the same counter for, let me add also another slide, for I equals 0, I less than 6, I plus plus. But here, instead of using the index A of I will use, instead of it, I will use A of 5 minus I. Okay? Why 5? The largest index or the maximum index. Maximum index is 5. So 5 minus I, if I have A of 6 equals, as we said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right? The index here is 5, right? And here is 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So 5 minus I will take 0. 5 minus 0 is equal to 5. So the first element will be printed as 5, A of 5. Okay, the second one, 5 minus I minus 1 is equal to 4. So the second one is A of 4, and so on. So I'll keep them both in the same application to compare the result in the same program. I will write it to you here. Okay. Also, you can here write C out. No, not in the same. I have to create another loop because, okay, from 0 less than 6, I minus became I plus plus. Okay, then here I of 5 minus I, here also 5 minus I. Okay, let's run it and see the result. Okay, so if you can see here, in both cases, this is the result. In the first case, A of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Then again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So both gave the same result. So I'll remove this part and consider only the second part and share it with you. Okay? So this is the answer. All right, this is the another answer. Both are correct. In exam or in assignment, if you use any of these, it will be considered as correct. Oh, I think it's already, yeah, it's already answered here. Yes, exactly. Here it's the same. 5 minus I, so don't need to repeat it again. Okay. Now this question is a little bit different. We are talking about a program that define two arrays, A and B with 5 elements in each one, and define third array which contains the sum of the corresponding elements. That means Okay, here I'll define an array A. Sorry, I'll define an array A equals, I write it in mathematical format, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll define also B equals 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. It's required to define C equals A plus B. And if you remember, in mathematics, you know that in addition, I'll add the first element with the first element. So C equals here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That means equals here 4, 2 plus 4 equals 6, 3, 8, and so on. Now, how to do this? It's easy. I can write C of I equals A of I plus B of I. Why is that? Because C of 0, this is C, this is A, B, and C. C of 0, this element, is equal to A of 0 plus B of 0. C of 1 equals A of 1 plus B of 1, and so on. Okay, so we can write the program, or it's already written. Yeah, it's written already, so you can check it here. I define the first part is to define A of 5 equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Integer B of 5 equal 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. Remember, this is A of 0, and this A of 4, and this is B of 0 till B of 4. So here, if I start the loop, this is the loop that I'm going to use. So here, if you can see I equals 0, I'll put it here. I, okay, A of I, B of I, and C of I. So if I start with 0, that means A of 0, okay, A of 0 is equal to 1. B of 0 is equal to 4. So C of 0 equals A of 0 plus B of 0 equals to 5. If I go back to, increase I by 1, then the value will be 1. Okay, A of 1, this is A of 1, which is 2. B of 1, which is 5. Then the result will be 7. 2. A of 2 equals 3. B of 2 equals 6. The result will be 9, and so on. Okay? So if you can see here, C of 0 equals 5, C of 1 equals 7, C of 2 equals 9, C of 3 equals 11, and 13. Because, as I explained in the next slide, here C will take C of 0. This is I, 0. If I is 0, that means A of 0 plus B of 0 equals C of 0, or C of 0 equal A of 0 plus B of 0, and so on. Okay? By the way, I want you to implement these programs, this code. I want you to implement it, type it, and see the result, and then discuss the result with me. Now write a program that finds the number of elements in an array. Number of elements in an array, it means the size of an array. Okay. Actually, we don't have in Python. You have an easy instruction which is len. It means length. Okay. Here we don't have. So what you will do? What we will do is here. We use the instruction size of array. Size of array is an instruction in C++, okay, size of A. That means equals number of element over size of type. What does that mean? if I have, for example, integer a of 2, okay, the size of a, that means the size of integer, which is mostly 2 bytes, okay, multiplied by, or let's make it 3, multiplied by 3, okay? The size of the integer of the type, by the way, I'm telling, by default, it's 2 bytes, but in some other cases, it might be used like 4 bytes, like long or short, 1 byte, etc. So we'll consider as default is 2 bytes. So here, the size of the array is 2 times 3, which is the number of elements. That means 6 bytes. Okay, but this is the size of the array, not the number of elements. If I defined, or if I divide it by size of the first element, which is also of the same type, okay, integer, size of integer, that means 2, I will get 3, so this is the number of elements. This is very important because why I skipped that function, calling function in an array, because when you call a function, calling an array or passing an array to a function, because when you pass an array, you need to pass the size of the array. So now, if I want to, let's just implement this to discuss or to consider different cases. Now, if I print here, cout, the size of the array is size of A. All right. How many elements we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements, right? So let's run it and see the size. Okay, we have error. Let's see the error. Warning. Missing treatment character. I'm sorry. I should add the quotation here. Okay, so let's run it. All right. Now it's 24. I'll tell you why it's 24. See, size of array. Here integer is 4 bytes, not 2 like in the old compilers. So 4 bytes, that means 6 times 4, that is 24. So I'll just write this to you. And do we have time? I think we don't have time. We'll continue with this discussion next lecture because we've already reached to the end of our lecture now. I don't want to take from your time. I'll stop recording now.